Intimate partner violence. What is it? The Boston University defines intimate partner violence, also known as domestic violence, as a pattern of violent behavior used to establish dominance and control over another person. Victor Rios also explains that it is a tool used by men to establish masculinity. This video will focus on severe violence against women, as they make up 85% of victims. Intimate partner violence has existed for ages, yet is well hidden in the home, making it harder to detect. While it occurs daily, it is usually only when high-profile cases come about that people pay attention to it. A fairly current example of this, that most of us probably remember, is the video of NFL player Ray Rice brutally battering his wife in the elevator in 2014. A video which caused public outrage across the world, yet events just like these are the daily reality for thousands of women, but are hidden behind closed doors. In 2017, Huffington Post released an article titled 30 Shocking Domestic Violence Statistics That Remind Us It's an Epidemic. Among these were the fact that every year in the United States, 4,774,000 women experience intimate partner violence, 18,000 of which have been murdered in these disputes since 2003. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, that's America. Of course things like that happen over there, what with all their guns and their violence. But we're Canada, the friendly, peaceful neighbors. It's probably not such an issue here. In fact, CanadianWomen.org reports that half of all Canadian women have been abused by age 16, and that every 6 days a woman in Canada is murdered by an intimate partner. This month alone, that's 5 women that have or will be killed. 5 families that will be left without a mother, or a daughter, or a sister. Why? Why don't these women do something? Lots of women around the world have thought of themselves in this situation, and have probably said, if a man ever laid hands on me, I'd mess him up. So why not? Why don't these women just fight back? Usually it is from fear of an aggravated response. Just as the Miller reading points out that women fear standing up for themselves to neighborhood males due to an angry response, the same is true in domestic violence. However, these women also fear the response being directed at their children. So, to avoid any danger to their kids, women take the abuse themselves. Okay, well, if they can't fight back, then just leave. Another common expression heard on the subject. In fact, many people blame women for their own abuse for not leaving the relationship. However, to understand why women don't leave, we must first be reflexive about our privileges. Miller explains how domestic violence is at its highest in disadvantaged neighborhoods, while Kern explains that the ability to feel safe is directly related to privilege. As Sarabia did in her note on reflexivity, reflect on yourself in this situation. Someone is hurting you. You may have a car that you can use to drive away. You may have money that you could use to buy your own place or pay for your own food. You may have a loving support system of friends and family to turn to. These are your privileges. While most of these disadvantaged women don't have that, they may be dependent on the abuser for money, food, shelter, or even drugs. Oftentimes, there are also children involved, and CanadianWomen.org reports that on any given night, 300 women and children are turned away from shelters. So if leaving means that you and your children are homeless and starving, many women see abuse as the lesser of two evils. Miller also explains how many women in disadvantaged neighborhoods experiencing abuse are taught that they are likely to be alone when it comes to violence, which is shown by a lack of empathy from the community as well as poor police response. So many women keep quiet about their abuse. What can be done? The criminal justice system is finally treating domestic violence as a widespread issue that must be addressed. One way in which it is attempting to do so is by referring abusers to domestic violence reform programs, to not simply punish them, but to change their thinking about women in order to address the root causes of the abuse. An article published by The Guardian titled Reform Programs Stop Most Violent Men from Harming Partners, said landmark study, stated that the programs proved quite effective in both Britain and Australia, with women who reported having weapons used against them dropped from 29% to 0%, and women reporting serious physical violence dropped from 87% to 7%. There are also things you can do to help diminish intimate partner violence. Donate. Show support by donating to shelters so they can accommodate more women and children. Participate. Participate in events which inspire change and bring awareness to the issue of intimate partner violence. Connect. Connect via social media to offer support for victims looking for help. We still have a long way to go before this issue ceases to exist, but hopefully by bringing it out into the open, we can take the first steps towards a better future for women everywhere.